What is the main thought about what a college student should be today? Many years ago, college was meant for wealthy, white males. Women and minorities were not allowed to go to college. But many years later, women were finally allowed into secondary schools, where they were not taught to be doctors or lawyers, but how to be wives and mothers. Minorities were finally allowed many years later to go to their own separate college, not combined with the men or women. Finally, men and women were allowed to attend the same college. However, it took many, many years after that for minorities to be allowed. Then came the income possibilities. If you couldn't pay, you couldn't go. And then finally, loans were allowed, and students from all income levels and family backgrounds were allowed to go into college. However, the traditional student is not so traditional today. 36% of students are over the age of 25. More than 1/3 of them are undergraduates. And over the next 10 years, that number is projected to grow faster than your traditional 18 or 19-year-old right out of high school student. Independent students, which are 24 years or older, could be married, maybe not, have legal dependents, that could be their children or they support another person. They were orphans or wards of the state, or they are veterans of our services. That makes up 47% of students. The enrollment and employment part of students has changed dramatically too. 15% of students go to a 2-year college instead of a 4-year college. Part-time students make up 59% of the community college enrollment, whereas 22% of a 4-year college is part-time. Many have to combine work and school in order to even attend because the use of loans for some doesn't work, and finding grants is limited and getting more limited every day. 40% of undergraduate students are considered to be 200% below federal poverty line, and many have to work in order to make up the difference, and so in that aspect their academics could fail and they could have harder times getting into limited or restricted programs. 63% of part-time students have to work or else they could not even attend college. And 1/3 of undergraduates work 35 plus hours a week while being full-time students, and many of those have families or life outside. Many students today are not the single 18-year-old straight out of high school students that we originally think a college student should be. 23% of students today, whether that is a 2-year student, a 4-year student, trade schools, any type of student, are parents. They have families. They have responsibilities outside. 13% of students, not included in the 23%, but 13% on their own, are single parents. They have to deal with jobs, they have to deal with housework, they have to deal with finding daycare if they can even find it in order to even attend school. So with the traditional college student changing and becoming less traditional, how are our colleges even adapting? We went from a single white male whose parents paid for his college in order to promote him to continuing his father's business, to we have now married or single individuals who are Black, white, African, Asian, Hispanic, Latino. We have many females, which actually females make up the majority of students nowadays, which is different than the traditional student. Many have low income responsibilities. The dynamic of college life has changed dramatically due to the different students coming in. Secondary schools are becoming more geared toward a working student rather than a full-time student who has no other responsibilities. They are becoming more flexible with evening and weekend classes. They are allowing classes to be taken online rather than the traditional, I have to go to class at 8 o'clock, I get out at 10, I go to my next class, I have a lunch break. So in retrospect, the non-traditional student is molding the college life to allow for different ages, statuses, employment, and family life to allow the students to get a secondary education to promote their family into having better incomes and having better long-term lives.